Every workplace has two HR departments, the one they show you and the one they use on you. Up front, it's smiles, posters, and "we're here for you." But behind the curtain, it's surveillance, intimidation, and a quiet war most Americans never realize they're fighting. Shadow HR doesn't need a badge or a title. It works through fear, through isolation, through the unspoken rules that everyone feels but no one can prove. One complaint becomes a target. One write-up becomes a threat. And before long, people aren't working, they're surviving. Today, we're pulling the mask off the machine that grinds people down while pretending to protect them, and exposing the psychological warfare hidden in plain sight. Welcome to the Mind War Podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mind War Podcast. As always, I'm Badger. This is Grandmaster, and we've got one that might make you feel a little uncomfortable if you're watching, or listening. If this particular story you can't relate to, then consider yourself fortunate. Today's all about the shadow HR.
Human resources.
That's right.
Yes. I didn't hate the name.
Yeah.
Human resource. The quietest war in America. That's how I like to look at it. You're fighting with HR whether you realize it or not. Okay, so imagine you go to work. I'm retired, but you go to work where I used to work. In one of these places I used to work at an HR department, and when you realize after being there for just a minute that the HR is not human resources designed to protect the employees
At all.
It's designed to protect the owners and upper level management. That's all it's there for. It's not
At all costs.
At all costs. You are expendable. They are not. They are not held to any standard. The HR departments, they can pretty much do whatever they want. They do go by what the boss tells them. They have hidden rules, unspoken rules. I mean, you could feel tensions in this working place. It's.
How many coworkers have you known? You see them come into work, they're quiet, they keep to themselves. You talk to them for a minute, find out, oh, they got written up last week. Now they're being threatened for their job. Now they're scared to make a mistake at work because any one mistake could cause me to lose my job. That's nothing more than workplace bullying.
Well, I'll give you an example of a workplace bullying. In this place that I worked at, they had normal restrooms for staff and patrons that would come into the store. Then they had a home office that you couldn't even go down. If that bathroom is filled up, you better go find someplace else within this business. But don't you dare go down in the HR's area or the home office. However, many times I'd go in the bathroom and I'd find the head of HR in our bathroom. I'd find the CEO in our bathroom. But he would have a thing put up there saying, don't get caught using the bathrooms up that down there. Now that's kind of a double standard, is it not?
Well, yeah.
But they can do it.
Because they're protected by
HR.
Here's a
weaponized HR, I should say.
Correct. Here's just a couple disgusting stats that we came across. 30% of American workers that were polled stated that they either are or have been bullied in the workplace.
How many times have you been at work and seen someone being bullied? Every time you went to work.
Every single time.
Every single time. And then when you went, and I used to work with people, and they're being bullied, and they would come up to me and go, "Hey, I'm going to HR." I'd say, no. Now I was considerably older than most of these people, because I'd already been retired, and I was just looking for a part-time gig. And I would tell these young bucks, "No, don't do it. Oh no, I'm going to tell on that person. They can't talk to me that way." I would tell them, as soon as you cross that threshold into HR and you tell on said boss for whatever they said to you, you now have a big old huge target on your back.
Yeah.
And that's fighting a war within itself.
Without question.
So do you tell, or do you just take the abuse? You just be bullied. Just keep being bullied is what they need to be doing.
Well, and
or find a new job.
That's what these big companies are hoping for.
And I'll guarantee you, out of 30% pulled, 75% experienced bullying.
Without question.
75%, because maybe the rest of them were already, the last of the 75% were probably the bullies.
Well, and out of that 75%, 60 to 63% of the people that they talked to that were polled for this story explained that the symptoms that they had were equivalent to combat PTSD symptoms.
Because I can see that, because I can tell you why. I saw people that were working in an office. They were in that office for a year. And they made somebody mad, somebody up in the upper echelon. Now their office is in some other place way over somewhere.
Right.
You got to move offices now. What? I mean, sitting in this, what? And now their office is in some corner somewhere. And, because you spent too much time talking to some of our employees. You spent too much time visiting. Okay. Well, you guys have a meeting to 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 have a meeting, and so on.
Right.
I mean, you would call in. Like I remember when I went to get some information, I called in to HR and they go, "Well, you need to come in." I'm on the phone with you. I don't need to come in. Oh, you need to come in. Oh, okay. So they control the cards.
Right.
They control them by scaring you. Well, I don't get scared, but trying to scare the people. And a lot of people, unfortunately, weren't like as fortunate as I was. I was retired. I was working there part-time, right? A lot of people, though, unfortunately, that's all they have.
That's their livelihood. That's their everything.
And the shadow HR machine is what I want to call it. That machine just grinds you into the ground like as if you're trash, and they don't care.
Right.
So what do you do as part of the war against it? I mean, what do you do? I mean, you're kind of stuck.
You are. You are.
You don't have a union.
But I guess my question is, with as many reported incidents as there are, and as many whistleblowers as there are in the United States, how is this not national news?
Because I'll tell you why. Because it's PSYOP. It's domestic PSYOP, and it's not run by the government. The government's not running. The government has unions.
Sure.
And all these things, right?
Absolutely.
Unions can offset an HR.
Right.
Right. An OI, which is a government version, whatever. But it's run by corporations, private corporations, or something like larger ones like Lowe's and Home Depots. These
Sure.
big box stores or whatever.
Sure.
Where you don't have a union rep and you have to deal with HR, and then you forget, or you just don't know that HR, you're not savvy enough to know that HR is not there for you.
Right.
HR is there to protect its interests, which are the owners and the management.
That's right.
Let's be honest.
At
you know
all
what I mean?
costs. I know I said it before. At all costs.
Shadow HR is probably the most common psychological warfare. I read this in an article, and I just put it down on the paper here. Shadow HR is the most common psychological warfare system Americans will ever face. I'm going to read it one more time because that's wild to me. Shadow HR is the most common psychological warfare system Americans will ever face. Just let that sink in a little bit. Because we all have to work.
And they know this.
Yes.
And unfortunately, with the stats that they are, if you don't own your own business, the likelihood of you being one of those stats, 1 in 3 people are being bullied at work.
I'm
really not.
Blows my mind, but I think it's even that's disturbing and disgusting at the same time, because the HR lures you in thinking that you're on their side or they're on your side, because when you first go there, they're so nice, right? It's an illusion, but they're nice. But you don't. I knew it was an illusion the day one that I walked in there, because I worked for the federal government. So when I walked into this company, I was like, and I went to HR. It was a kangaroo system. It was a joke, and I could tell. But I was like, I'm not saying anything, because obviously they hold the cards. But the HR is built on setting up the branding for this company, which I won't name. So they push that branding.
Yep.
Then they make the posters, and they hire the people that do the training videos and all this other stuff. All this is mandated and pushed by the owners and right through HR.
Right.
Right. So They have a liability shield, damage control, and one other.
The most important,
One more. Yep.
they control the narrative.
That's the key.
They can say, look what we do for our employees. What they don't promote, what they don't show is when Brad is at home with a very sick child, calls in at 7 o'clock in the morning and says, hey, listen, we're taking my child to the hospital. And the response you get is, make sure you bring a doctor's note and we'll have a meeting when you get home.
Yeah, no, is your child okay? No, blah, blah, blah. This company would tell you call HR sometimes. I would laugh. I'm like, call HR. I called you. I'm not calling HR.
Right.
What do I need to call you? Scared? I'm not scared of HR. That's what I would tell them. I'm not scared of them. I'm telling you. If you want to write me up, go ahead. I don't care. I do my job. But
And again, you were fortunate that you were in.
yes, but everybody else would be afraid to call HR, and they would do what?
Companies target.
Yes.
Because they know you have to have this job. They know your credit because they did a background check on you.
Yeah.
They've done all the things to know everything to how to manipulate John C. employee. Unfortunately, when HR was very first designed back in the early 70s, it was set up as a mirror to a union to protect the employees. But the almighty dollar, that almighty dollar controls it. And now all of a sudden, you've got a nurse that reported harassment, but now all of a sudden
She gets fired because she maybe did something
unprofessional tone.
Oh, yeah, I knew that was coming.
Or
of course.
Or an industrial worker who files a complaint
And no one can find it?
it disappeared. You didn't turn that into me. You must have turned that into John.
Or maybe the biggest one is, you're just imagining it. It's not really happening that way. I've heard that so many times to people.
That's the scariest one of all. Because they're telling you whatever you're feeling is in your mind.
But no one can tell you how you feel.
Right.
Okay, now this is not a trend or anything like that. This is a pattern. And every HR does it.
True.
HR.
Yep.
It doesn't have a union tied somewhere around outside of the HR. If you had a union, right, which everybody hates unions and that are up.
Well, they say they do, except until they work in a union and realize that you're protected.
Well, the people that are not in, see, so if you're a supervisor, usually you can't be in a union.
Right.
Right, but the union can protect you, but you're not in a union, so it's for the low-level workers, the people that get trampled on, and their feet wiped on, their faces wiped on by other people's feet. Those are the ones that benefit from the union.
Absolutely.
Right, so for me, I think HR was designed to go against the union from day one. HR was designed to protect management and the owners of companies, right? Because unions would actually go after the owners or whatever of companies and leaders and supervisors.
True.
So was HR designed as an illusion for the employee to maybe not have a union now because we have HR? HR's here for you.
Oh.
Badger, HR's here for you. You have a problem, you come see me.
You don't have to pay union dues.
Yeah,
you don't need
you automatically,
representation.
I'll take care of it and look into it. And then you come in and you go, hey, Grandmaster's been giving me a hard time, blah, 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 blah. What you don't know is that me and Grandmaster are neighbors, and we golf every day. And then I'm going to tell Grandmaster what you said. So there is no confidentiality.
Ever.
So, where's that? That's their narrative. So the biggest war that we're fighting as workers is that the HR cannot be trusted, and don't think that you can trust the HR department. And that nurse and that technical worker, whatever the technical guy you were talking about,
Yep.
they're just victims of the system.
Unfortunately. I mean, really, unfortunately, they are victims of the system.
Well, they become accused later on too. So what happens is, as they get fired or they get let go, then it gets ran around the company that accusing them of bad behavior, accusing them of maybe theft, accusing them of frequent tardies or leaving early. Or,
Well, how about before they even get fired?
So.
This is part of that bullying process. HR, if there is a tardiness issue, if there is an issue where your work is not up to standards, if there's an issue of absenteeism or disrespect or whatever, those things are meant to be kept between your direct supervisor and HR.
Right.
But somehow or another, it manages to leak, and now that employee who's already being targeted by HR is now being targeted by every single coworker.
Do you know why? Because isolation is the #1 key in how you get somebody.
And how scary is isolation?
And my favorite thing that HR likes to tell you is, don't discuss this with anybody else. Now, who in the heck are you to tell me that I can't go tell John Smith that I make so much an hour? Or I can't go tell John Smith what you told me? It's my damn business.
Right.
If I want to tell him.
So, because I work for XYZ company and you're in HR, you now have the right to censor what I say when even if I'm not even on company time or company property, you have that ability?
Yeah, it's true, because it's in a handbook. And that's another thing, with this company I worked at, no one carried a handbook around.
No.
I did. Because you're not going to come at me blind with some BS because I read the handbooks.
Well, that's your military and federal background.
I need to know what's going on so you can't blindside me.
Right.
But I've heard that line, do not discuss this with somebody else. Do not discuss your pay. Do not discuss that we allowed you to take this time off. Do not discuss. Who are you to tell me what I can and can't discuss?
Right.
That in itself is weaponized. The HR is weaponized against you.
Without question, and one of the biggest things that they weaponize is the paperwork. Everything that you do with HR, we'll write that down on a statement.
Yeah.
Fill out a statement.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you get titled with labels like Grandmaster's emotional.
Snitch.
He's difficult.
Yeah.
He's not a team player.
Yeah, that's a favorite. Yeah, that's
not.
Now that becomes interrogation. That becomes psychological warfare from them on the employee.
Will it all boil?
It's breaking them down.
And that's exactly.
Character assassination, the whole 9 yards.
But it goes back, and you were in the military and you worked for the government. You're very well versed in interrogation methods. They do it in HR without us even thinking about it. They're not taking you into a closed room with one lamp shining on you and questioning you and with two-way glass.
No, you know how they're doing it? I'm telling you how they're doing it. They're sitting at the desk with all the freaking bosses, and they're joining in on the freaking on the
bandwagon.
The what is it? What are we looking for? The labeling of you with the rest of them, instead of going, guys, you can't do that. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't do that. You got to stay within the realm. No. They're right on in there with you, them. They're involved in the whole thing about it's almost like a cult. Think about it.
Yeah.
If you're not with the cult, what does the cult normally do to you?
Ostracized.
You're gone.
Immediately.
They start making you want to leave. Now, most times that I've seen, they don't fire you. People just quit. They can't take it anymore.
Because they're bullied.
Yeah.
Because they know that if I go back to HR, I'm going to be the one written up. It's going to be turned around that I'm the one at fault. It used to be back in the 70s and even into the 80s, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
That doesn't apply now.
Those days are gone, because those stick and stones that hurt you break a bone, but you heal pretty relatively quickly.
Yeah.
You can't see the emotional scars that are being put on by bullying, by fear.
People getting sick, they're losing sleep, they lose self-respect, self-dignity, because they've been beat down and drug around. Everything they do is wrong. And then when you have no one to go to, no one that you can go and say, can you get him off or her off my neck? I'm doing my best that I can. HR's like, well, they're not doing anything wrong. They're trying to motivate you, and you're just obviously not being a team player, and blah, 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 blah. Now, the military and the government does a certain kind of thing, too. Your boss might call you in and go, Listen, you need to tighten up, be a part of the team, okay? But it's going to be done between you and your boss.
And then it's done.
It's done. You say yes sir, no sir, or whatever, and you go on about your business, right? But it's not sitting at a round table and they're not dragging your name to the mud and the HR's giggling and they're joking around and it's a big joke.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not
So
that.
not how many. I know I have experienced somebody that I know that was written up on a final warning, one more mistake, they lose their job, they rely on this job. Until that final warning gets scratched, which if I'm not mistaken is like 6 months or a year or a year and a half or whatever, that's all that employee could talk about. Every single day, well, I did this, I hope that it doesn't get me fired. I hope I did this, I hope it doesn't get me fired.
Do you know how many times sitting at this place I used to work at, they would go, I might get fired today. I have a feeling I'm going to get fired. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, I did this and they weren't too happy with me and I got wrote up. I'm like, so you're going to get fired over that? That's like minuscule. Why are you going to get fired? Oh, they have it out for me. You know, I'm like, what? That's like, that's PTSD now. You have traumatic stress disorder, excuse me, because you're going to work? That's pretty disgusting.
It's
And they know, see, they don't care. They do not care that they're doing this to you because they want you to break down nice and quiet as they watch you just quiver. Because I saw their boss, the main boss of the store, walk around, treat people bad. And I'm just like, I was just looking at him and go, you got a sluggo over here not doing anything on the daily, coming in and leaving whenever they please, and this person's working hard, but they can never do nothing right.
right. We see it all the time.
Wow.
Now, think back on your career in federal work as well as civilian. I know for a fact that you talk to at least 2 people that no longer hold those positions,
Right.
but are still suffering and talk about the trauma that they had from that.
Yes. Every time I talk to someone that worked where I worked before or whatever, it's always something negative.
Right.
Do you remember so and so? Yeah. Well, he got let go. What? He's a good worker.
Right.
Yeah. It seems like the more you do, the less you gain, right? So, and here's the best part. Here's the worst part about everything. The scars are psychological and they're non-visible. So, it's an internal thing, right? So, it's easy for the companies to deny it, that it exists, because you can't see. It's not something that's tangible.
It's not a broken bone.
Yeah, it's a broken spirit.
Right.
And that, to me, that's worse than a broken bone. How hard is it for a spirit to... You go to work and you're getting browbeat every single dang day. I mean, I went back to this place and tried to went to knock on the door to talk to someone. They looked up, saw me, and never even acknowledged me. Yeah, I don't work there no more, but I retired, but I wanted to stop in and get something. I was going to buy something, and I was ignored because I don't work there no more. I was like, I'm an employee. I'm not an employee now. I'm a customer that wanted to come see the boss that I used to work for, and I was ignored because I wasn't, what word am I looking for? I wasn't relevant because I wasn't some kind of company buying material. I was just an ex-employee wanting to say hello. That was pretty, that's when it started to sink in on me.
Yeah.
I mean, this place is trash. This place treats people like trash. In fact, they treat trash better than people, And I think when you can see people walking around in some of these companies that they're browbeat so bad, they're afraid to move. And then you wonder why people take leave of absences. You wonder why people just up and leave you and quit. You wonder why. And You're paying them peanuts to begin with. But all of a sudden, when COVID hit and all this stuff, all these people got all these rental properties. All these things, right? So, but yet the employee couldn't get a raise. I can't even explain that, don't want to explain that. But HR was all beaming and happy Everybody was all woo, woo, woo. And then they mandate you to do things.
Right.
Right? When you signed up, there was no mandate thing. No one said nothing on paperwork saying that you can be mandated. But HR or the management can mandate you, and HR will protect them. And if you walk away from the mandate and say, I'm not doing it, now you're fired.
Right.
So they should have internal crisis teams, right?
Well, they do. That's the problem.
Well, they have counterintelligence is what they have. They don't have internal crisis machines. They're not, or agency or teams. They're not there to help us. Man, are you okay? You having a problem? Is there an issue? Blah, blah, blah. No. It's like, how do we weed out that problem, that problem, that problem, that problem?
Start watching Grandmaster's emails.
Yeah. Start watching what time they actually clock in. Oh, it was 1 minute over. What?
Or when he clocks in, how long before he actually goes and does something and doesn't drink a cup of coffee?
Yeah. So my question, I love saying this all the time. If you at HR or wherever is watching me, who in the heck is watching you?
Right.
Because believe me, if you're watching me, someone's watching you.
The problem is it's typically the owner, the CEO, and they're the ones directing HR to watch you.
Well, I think what happened, I think they coach management. HR coaches management.
Sure they do.
Look for this, look for that. Look, I don't like the way this guy's attitude is. This is coming from HR. I don't like the way his attitude is. I think you need to put a little pressure on. We need to get rid of him. He's taking too many sick days because he has a sick parent or a sick wife. Really? But management has the same issue. Management has sick family members, but it's okay.
Absolutely.
HR has a sick family member, it's okay. But if you're just a low-level scumbag working at the company, busting your tail 10 hours a day or whatever it is, and you're being watched like a hawk, right? So they have confidentiality traps. They have pre-written talking points.
Well, the confidentiality trap, the biggest one, we already addressed.
We did.
Don't talk about this with anybody else. This is just between us.
Well, listen, I'm not going to say what company, but there was a situation where a guy got drunk at one of the events, and he got really he was a manager, of course, and he used profane languages and derogatory comments and derogatory terms and the like, and it was buried. Very scandalous. It was buried, and the person still works in that company, as far as I know of, up to the time that I went on into retirement, full retirement, no more part-time.
Right.
And that kind of like blew my mind that it was buried. And they just will change your job. It would change where you work, what place you work at, but we're going to bury it. And they did. I'm like, interesting. I'm not going to tell you the scenario other than that it was, the person got a little bit of the juice in them and said things they shouldn't have said, but...
Well, here's something that makes it even scarier, that this shadow HR machine that is literally taking over the United States. The media is part of this ecosystem.
Well, the media.
Because the corporations are funding these platforms.
Right, exactly. Well, and in a way, HR, the union does the same thing.
Of course.
In the same way. The union, mainly unions like to fund the liberal side. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, you're right.
But let me ask you this, is it incompetence or is it intentional design?
It's intentional design. It's designed. Listen, it's designed to manipulate the work site, the workplace. It's designed to get what management wants, the ownership wants, whatever the higher ups want. What the workers need or want is irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. I mean, the people were told keep working. They want water breaks. Well, you can drink on while you're working. You get a 30-minute lunch in a 9-hour day. How does that work?
And 2 15-minute breaks. Don't forget that.
Yeah, but how does that work? And then they're taking hour lunches.
Or hour and a half.
Yeah, but I had to go to a meeting.
Right.
I had to go to whatever. So, and I understand management has their own their set of rules. I'm not saying that's not right, but what I'm saying is not right is you treat your workers like dogs, and you're protected by HR.
Very much
because they're in the
so.
game.
Yep.
You know, the other one's throwing the food out. You know, but I mean, I think media silence. It's not in the news that these things are happening because people probably report them, but the news does not want to discuss them because it goes back to what you said. They're getting paid.
100%.
Yeah, they're getting paid to be quiet.
100%.
Yeah.
Media outlets are being paid a significant amount of money from corporations to keep their doors open. Because of that, they're not going to expose that the entire HR system as it's created in America today is psychological warfare.
Well, because the problem with HR is psychological warfare. It manipulates perception.
Right.
It lends you to believe that, hey, we are here for you, but actually you're alone. They make you doubt reality, what's real and what's not real.
Every single day.
You make you always afraid of retaliation. I've seen people retaliate on this place I used to be at, and I'm like, what the heck? And they'd still want to go to HR. I'm like, this is the reason why you're being retaliated on.
Right.
Because you went there in the first place.
Yep.
I mean, really? I mean...
well, and they also make you believe that you don't have the opportunity to fight back.
Because you do not. You do not. It's impossible.
Yep.
They'll tell you, I've heard HR say to somebody, if you have a problem, just come see us. And when we walked away, I told the person, don't you dare go back there. Don't you dare do that because now you have a target. You know, HR is kryptonite, and you're Superman. Stay away from it. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But being aware of it breaks that spell.
Well, that's why I had no problem. I had no problem.
And you're a prime example of understanding they're coming at you from one direction, but that doesn't mean that's the only direction.
Well, I'm going to give you a quick line. I noticed the system, and then the system couldn't come after me.
Yeah.
So once I saw the system and I understood what they were doing, the system loses its power against me. It could never come after me. The union, the HR machine could not come after Grandmaster.
Because
I knew what it was doing.
Because it had no power.
Right, because I knew what it was up to. So I never talked to them about anything, never included them in anything. I just act like they didn't exist. Because if I act like they don't exist, then they have no power over me.
Right.
Because someone goes, well, write me up if you want. But see, I don't ever do anything wrong, so right away. If you wrote me up for something, I'm not going to HR. I don't care. That's what you want me to do. But I'm not going to do it.
Right.
I'm good with that. You know, and so because I saw what they were doing, I was making sure other people saw it too.
Sure.
But some people just don't want to see with their eyes.
Well,
if that makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense, and excuses are easier than actions. It's easier to say, well, I just went to HR because that's what they said that I should do.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, now you've just signed away your life.
So
now you're late.
So let's give our listeners a little something to look at here. So how do we recognize the signs? How do you recognize the signs that you have an HR that's more manipulative to help its ownership and management than it is to help its people? How do you recognize that?
Very first thing is, if you hear, do not discuss this, keep this between us, we're doing this just for you, you're a special case in this, that's a monster red flashing neon light, not even a red flag.
Tell you another one too. When people can talk to you any way they want to talk to you, management wise, and you're not able to respond in kind, I'm a firm believer that if I come at you with a loose lip, it's coming sideways out my mouth, then you should be able to come right back at me the same way. Right? With an HR that's a machine out to get you, you just can't. They can talk to management can talk to you anyway, but you have no recourse to talk back.
Correct.
Because then they write you up and you're wrong.
Yep.
Because you had a bad attitude, right? So I think you got to look for that, and I think it matters because if you understand the symptoms of, or the disease, if you will, of a bad HR, and you can see it, That's how you keep yourself safe and your job safe.
Yes.
Because then I'm just going to be quiet. It's not going to talk. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to do that. I'm not, that, some people say, well, you're not part of the team. You don't come to none of the functions. I don't have to.
Right.
I do my work. I come on time. I leave on time. I do what I'm supposed to. If I do that and I keep my eye on HR and my management, and I just do my job, keep my nose clean, nothing happens.
Right.
Right? So, but keeping your nose clean is a relative statement, because what I think is keep my nose clean might not be what management thinks.
Very true.
I'm talking to Badger, but management might not like Badger. So guess what? Now I have a target.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Happens every day.
So I think as our listeners out there, they just pay attention to those kind of things. When you read, don't, like he said, don't discuss this, or don't tell nobody what pay you're getting, or you can't hang around this person because they're the supervisor. They shouldn't be able to dictate to you who you can and can't see outside of duty.
How about frivolously being written up?
Well, explain that one. People might not understand that.
You're doing a job. Your job is to pick up rocks off the road.
Okay.
Grandmaster and I are side by side, shoulder to shoulder, picking up rocks. Grandmaster leaves 3 or 4 rocks, keeps walking. Picks up one here, leaves 2 or 3, picks up one. Badger's picking them all up. Somehow or another missed 1 rock.
Yeah, I hear
And now
you.
the supervisor's, Badger!
Yeah,
That's a red flag.
yeah, yeah.
That's a management who's been told by HR,
Badger, you get on you,
yes.
drag you down, get on him, stay on him.
And we really didn't even jump into another tool that HR uses to perfection, and that's dragging it out.
Oh yeah, of course.
We didn't even, so let's just address that for a
Make you
minute.
sweat.
We need to do an investigation.
Yeah. Now, what experience or training do you have as an HR? Because I've asked this question. Because I asked about something one time. Well, no, I didn't, but one of the coworkers, they said, well, it's under investigation right now, and I had to ask. Them, what training have you had to be able to investigate something? Are you an investigator? Are you a professional investigator? Or how did you get it? Because you have a college degree in basket weaving, they made you have an HR position, or somebody in management, that's how you got the HR position. So what training do they have to be able to investigate whether this is true or false when the claim is coming from management that you did something that you're saying you didn't? So who do you think when they do the investigation, who do they think is how it's gonna come out?
But it's gonna take a couple weeks.
Yeah, because they want you scared to death. They want you to quit sometime in the meantime, or admit that you did it, or whatever it is.
Or
the
have another
situation.
screw up so they can fire you and say,
Since you were under investigation, we
Yes.
decided. Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I forgot all about that. The dragging it out. Unfortunately, everybody has HR. Everybody has HR, but listeners, you don't need HR. You don't ever need to go see them. Just do your job. Go in, do your 8 or 9 or 10, whatever your schedule says. Do your job and go home. I mean, that's all I started doing. Just do my time and go home.
right.
And I'm the guy that likes to go home. See, people will say I don't like to go to work. I don't go to work to make friends. I did. I wanted to go to work and make friends. But now everybody's so damn afraid. They don't want to go to work and make friends. They just go to work and they don't even want to talk to you.
Nope.
They're afraid they're going to get in trouble.
Absolutely. It's the whole fear.
So you have you have a hostile work environment without them realizing they're creating it.
Right.
Everybody's scared to death, except for those that are in the circle.
Correct.
Those that have the ear of the HR or the management, they do whatever the heck they want
All day
and
long.
you sit there and watch them, and you're just like, holy mackerel!
Yeah.
How are they getting away? And then you realize, oh, the favorite one was, oh, they go to church with them. That's what they used to say in this place. They go to church with a certain person, and I'm like, that person's like really bad, and yet you're saying they go to church with them. That just scares me right there. But then that's another subject all in itself.
Yeah, we could do a 12-hour podcast on that one.
I just think that people just pay attention. You do not need to just because someone makes you mad at work, it's not necessary to go to HR. You don't have to. If you feel strongly against it, I mean, you can, but there's always a consequence. I'm not saying never to go to HR. I'm not saying all HRs are bad, but you read a statistic earlier that 30% of the people are bullied, and 76% of them, out of that 30%, actually experience it on a daily basis. That's a huge number.
Massive.
So just keep that in your mind. And if you see one of your friends getting bullied, or one of your friends that are suffering from this, just talk to them, help them, back them up. Be there for them to talk to, because work can be a lonely place when everybody's out to get you.
Biggest point that I can make. HR is not your friend.
And the news media is not putting this out there because, well, I'll give you an example. There's been like top Fox News people, top CNN people, news anchors get in trouble, right, for because of their what they say or whatever, and they don't have no protection. They get fired.
Right.
That's just an example.
Yeah.
Right. Then you have like these comedians that get on and they say awful things about people, and they're protected.
100% freedom of speech.
It's weird.
Yes.
It's really weird. But that's how deep it goes. It goes into your great big networks. It's not just the little mom and pop stores and little small corporations. It's not governmental, but it's more a corporate. Mm-hmm. It's more of a corporate thing, civilian thing. But just be careful with that. Just be careful with HR. They're not your friends, like he said. So to me, that's the mind war. This is why we're reporting on this, because I mean, I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked and I could find nothing, because we go out in this mainstream media thing and we look through mainstream media news and we compare it to what we find. And I couldn't find nothing for the last 10 years talking about HR. Nothing in the mainstream news media.
Because
and you can't look me in the face and tell me something hasn't happened sketchy in mainstream media could report on.
Right.
You know it has.
Of course it has.
So this is why we reported on HR, and OI is the same as HR. So it's all kind of, depending on internal affairs, whatever it is that you work for, it's all similar. So
Right.
unless it's governmental, and usually you have a union that can be there to protect you. If you don't have a union, then you're in trouble. But
Yeah.
so there you go.
All right, guys. That's another fun episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Again, we'd love to hear comments.
And I'm sorry it's a depressing podcast, but it's one that you needed to hear and one that you needed to know about, because again, they're not reporting it. But it is what it is. So just keep your minds clear, and just remember to be kind. Always be kind, even when you get in adversity with HR.
Have a great day, everybody.